All right. Well, we are at exactly the top of the hour, so we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone, to another Featured Pros Live. I'm Hillary Hames. I'm Vice President of Enterprise Relationships at Lit Software. That means I help litigation teams roll out Lit Suite in an effort to increase operational efficiencies and reduce or eliminate third-party hot seater spend. So when Lit Suite is standardized in a law firm, there's always proven ROI from the very first case. And I'm here with our Chief Customer Officer, Andrea Burton, who leads our onboarding and customer success team here, making sure that everyone who invests in our tools maximizes that investment and, more importantly, feels very confident when the stakes are high. This series is where we sit down with litigators who use the Lit Suite every single day and we asked them to share real workflows, not the demo version, the actual version that they've built around the system. And today's guest is someone a lot of you probably already know from Mac Lawyers community. 90-ish% of our subscribers operate in Windows environments at the office, at the law firm, but love the convenience of iPads for the purposes of litigation. Tim Davis is of counsel at roughly 50 lawyer civil litigation firm in Kansas City, Missouri, where his practice focuses on workers' compensation defense. Tim's been an Apple using lawyer ever since the original Macintosh was part of Apple's legal speaking circuit, even back when Apple had a dedicated legal vertical. And he's also one of the most thoughtful voices in the legal tech community. Tim, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. So happy you could join.
I appreciate the invitation. Thank you very much.
Can you tell our viewers a little bit about your practice, who you serve in your community, and your philosophy on legal technology?
Well, our office, as you said, was about 50 people, and we do general civil litigation. I tend to focus more primarily, my practice is workers' comp defense and some construction litigation, and then just kind of a smattering. At my age and stage, I'm kind of a utility infielder, so a lot of just miscellaneous litigation. So, but comp is my kind of my true love.
Well, the timing is really impeccable here because I just had a sales conversation not too long ago with a workers' comp attorney who started out by saying that his team really wouldn't use Lit Suite or TrialPad because they never go before a jury. Because most of what people see about this product is trial presentation. And I know that's not the bulk of your workers' comp defense practice. So we're really focusing on tools that actually map to your specific workflow, record review, depositions, and hearing prep. So how would you have handled that objection? I think I did okay, but let's hear it
I
from
think
you.
I think you did great. Really, what you need to do, it's like every case. The more you build it up, the more you understand the facts, the better results you're going to get, assuming the facts are reasonable, that is. But you have to understand what they're all about. So I'll take Document Review Pad. I'll use that for everything. And then I'll take all the documents that we get, I'll scan them and then put them in OCR so that they're all readable, and then put those into DocReviewPad. The reason it's important to do the scan is I can search across the entire file, across a folder, across something, anything to find a term or terms. So I can find any document that I need pretty fast. It's great because I'm able to then use issue codes or tag them with different things. I can tag things as confidential. I can tag things as privileged, and then I can use that to create document review sets. So if I'm producing documents to the other side, I can go through automatically. When you import a document into DocReviewPad, it gives you the choice to Bates label. So automatically you can do that. I know there's software out there and it's really not that hard anymore, but when I started, I literally had a stamp where you would stamp every page to Bates label something. So I don't miss that at all. But you're able to keep track of that. Now, when you produce documents outside, you can do it with a Bates number. You can do redactions of, dates of birth, social security numbers, things like that easily. You can just keep track of everything. But it's the issue coding that really, I think, makes a difference. And if it's okay, I might pull that issue coding up a little bit. If I can
Absolutely.
share the screen here.
And before we get into your workflow, I'm sure that there are a lot of attorneys on this call saying, you're obviously an OG Mac person. I'm not today, and we have PCs at the office. So, how should we adapt to this? Can you describe sort of the learning curve for just a typical attorney who may have an iPad or iPhone laying around for personal use?
Well, I hate to oversimplify it, but it's kind of like point and shoot. You, as long as you can point with your finger, you can pretty well do it. Um, there's several ways to get a document into DocReviewPad, for example. And so it's just a matter of if you play with it just a little bit, which you kind of have to do with any software, um, you figure out exactly how it works. Um, you'll be able to do things within just a couple of hours. And then thanks to the YouTube series you guys have, there's tech support where on almost any subject on the whole suite, you wind up learning so much more. And what I found when I'm learning software is if I figure out how that something you can do something and I have a use for that, I really am interested in how to do it. And then the videos or the tech support questions, things like that. In my experience, you guys have been incredibly responsive. And this goes back, I don't know, 10 years, maybe more. Um,
Oh,
I,
yeah.
I was I was a very early adopter on the iPad. And so as we were going along, I found the Lit Suite. And so jumped into that. And I've never looked back. I really enjoyed working with it. So
Well,
it's
you're
kind of,
about to show some things. So, why don't you start out by telling us about your hardware kit, your recommended iPad, how much storage it has, what accessories do you always bring with you, and how are
okay.
you going to be presenting today, like the specific motions of that?
Okay. Well, right now, I have an iPad Pro. Um, it's one or two generations old. And we'll update that every couple of generations here at the office. Um, right now, it's fast enough to do everything I've ever wanted to do. The Pro gives you basically your your monitor, your screen is the size of a piece of paper, and I just find that incredibly helpful. We use the Lit Suite in landscape view, so left to right, and it fills the screen beautifully, and it's easy for old guys with glasses to read everything. Um, it's just pretty simple. Um, in terms of the presentation, the easiest way to do it, you can do it all wirelessly. Just plug your Apple TV into the destination, and then you can do it as easy as that. You can just wirelessly connect to the Apple TV, which is then plugged into the television, and then or monitor, and then you can display whatever you're doing. Um, otherwise, you can hardwire the Apple, system. You can plug it into the port there. I use the Magic keyboard, which has a second USB-C port, so I can always, if power is an issue and I have to hardwire it, I can do both at the same time. So that's kind of nice. As far as just like today, we're doing just Zoom, and what I'm going to show you is really what I see or what the operator can see. We're going to look at TrialPad a little bit, and I'll show you the difference between what the operator sees and what the audience sees. Kind of like in any of you that have done a PowerPoint, where you see a lot more of the behind the scenes, but the audience just sees the slide. Um, because we're on Zoom, I can't display it the same way that I would if I were going directly to a monitor. So um, that's kind of I'm
And
disappointed
if
about that,
anyone
but
has any questions I forgot to add, you can go ahead and send us those in the chat and we'll try to answer them on the fly.
so when you open DocReviewPad, for example, here's cases that are open, but we'll just use this one. I just threw a couple of documents to walk through a couple of things. Um, you can see, like because it's an iPad, I can just use my fingers and blow the screen up or not. If I need to really look at, I can do the full screen and just go through the document, moment by moment. But you can see here where I have redacted certain information about, because it's sensitive to a specific client. So I just got rid of that stuff. But it's really easy. If you want to redact something, you just pick the tool, draw a box, and there you go. And you have choices on redaction. You can do a white redaction, or you can do a black redaction, or you can get rid of. So,
Very cool.
And then if you can lock the redaction like that, so that if you're wanting to do more than one thing on a page, you can go click, click. So, then
Let us know, like when you walk us through what happens the moment a new file lands on your desk, like a medical record review, the case file structure, the folders, naming conventions, and DocReviewPad. Can you share
yeah.
anything to that end?
Well, I'll go through. I didn't do it with this one because it's just what I call a practice file, but it's much like you would do a physical file. I'll have a folder. I'll create a folder, and I'll do pleadings, and I'll do that in red. So now any pleading that I have will go into that folder. I'll have it scanned and everything, and it'll go in there. Then I'll have a correspondence. So any correspondence will go in there. I'll do exhibits. I'll do notes, memoranda, those sorts of things. And so it'll be just like you have in your physical file. You'll have all these different things. And then any document I have will go in the corresponding file. Anything medical related will be in green. Anything exhibit will go in a blue folder. Anything in a discovery would be in an orange folder, just kind of, because that's how I did it in my physical files. And I've just taken that and kind of used that metaphor in the virtual files. And it's just a nice way of keeping things nice and straight. And then it's just super easy.
Yeah, so this is our application DocReviewPad, and you made the case in the past to us that, a lot of the larger law firms out there own very robust e-discovery platforms like Relativity or Everlaw or Disco, but they're actually the wrong tool for a typical file. Why is DocReviewPad better in your experience?
Well, it's straightforward to begin with. And there are certain matters that I'm using Relativity or Everlaw or Disco. And, when there are, half a dozen of us working on a file and we're doing the same, breaking up doc review over, hundreds of thousands of records or things like that, then it's not a bad tool because we can all do the same thing. We can all touch the same thing at the same time. So that's they have a place. Here, you're limited by your storage on your machine in the cloud. But on the other hand, the big ones, the Everlaw and Disco and Relativity, all your storage is costing you very, very great deal, month to month to month to month.
Yeah.
And the setup and everything, I mean, they're an expensive proposition. Now, you're not going to do it in a case where you've got, $50,000 in exposure. You're going to do that in a case where there's a great deal of exposure, there's a great deal of expense, and frankly, a lot of documents. So they're good tools for their place. But this is a better tool for actually fairly sophisticated cases because You can still keep a lot of documents. You can still keep and review and do everything that you would do in the bigger cases. It's just the only, I don't want to call it a drawback. I want to call it, it's just different philosophy. This one I can't share as directly at the same time. This I can export to and give the whole, I'll call it a database because I don't know what else to call the file. This particular case, I can give to someone else. And so they'll have it on their iPad. But the syncing is a different animal. So I love working with this. And it also gives me the ability to keep my fingers on everything. I like to see everything. I like to touch everything. And that way I understand it so that when issues come up, I've got a better sense of how it fits in the overall picture, as opposed to reading somebody else's summary of something. So it's helpful that way.
I think there was a story you told Tara about a leukemia case with 14 defendants, and that's where the issue coding really came into play here and really shined.
But
Um,
one of the things we did there that was really helpful. Anybody who's tried a jury case knows that you have to, whatever deposition designations you're going to use, you have to file a pleading with those designations. And what everybody does is they'll get a PDF copy of the deposition. They'll highlight the terms that they're going to use. They'll put a chart together. It's like page this to line this to page that, line that, and they'll submit that to the court. Well, what I decided one time, I thought, wait a minute, I can do my depot designation as an issue. And you can code that. And all you have to do, really, is look at a transcript and say from here to here, you just press on the two different, from the beginning to the end, and you can code it. And I don't have it for here, so bam. And so now that is coded to the deposition designation. Okay. And so later on, when you're done there, you can do a report of all your designations. And you can do them by the plaintiff's deposition designation, defendant 1, defendant 2, and you can print out the report. See if I can do a real fast one. And so that's just that little area, that one place that I did designate it. And so all your designations are going to be in this organized, attractive report. And you just print that out and then you attach that to your filing with the judge. And so it's easy. And it's easy when you get the designations from the other side to get there, code it instead of claimant. You could do respondent or defendant or whoever. And then that way you've got a very simple way. Plus, as you travel, as you do anything, obviously this is all portable as opposed to taking banker's boxes with you different places. So it just makes it a lot simpler, a lot cleaner. And it's an easier way to do those designations.
Yeah, so before we move on, I think this is a good transition or segue to TranscriptPad, but we have a question coming in from the audience into the chat. Since most of the correspondence is email, how do you handle uploading your native emails to DocReviewPad?
I don't do them as natives. I save them as PDFs. For these purposes, I don't do each and every email just because it's really the things of substance that I'll put correspondence and use emails as correspondence. Just anything that's not, like I say, substantive, because otherwise I don't need to build this. I already have access to all the emails in Outlook or whatever you're going to use there. And generally, some of the stuff is just not important for the merits of the case. from
Right.
a logistical or procedural, they may be important, but I don't need them in doc review. So this is just stuff that's important to me in the case.
Right.
Um, so
So
if there's
standard
a
file formats can come in PDF, TIFF, JPEG,
yeah,
um, and natives are not coming in for the most part.
right.
Okay. Well, let's talk about depositions because you have a couple of techniques that I think every litigator in this audience could start using tomorrow. So first, your custom witness issue code. Tell everyone how that works and go ahead and move into TranscriptPad.
Well, when I do a deposition, what I'll try to do is put a an issue code of witness because I like the idea of uh, being able to here, let me move that. I like the idea of when you look at the list of the universe of people involved in the case, and it'll come up or not. But if you just put, as you go through the transcript, if you just highlight that one line and just code that to the witness, and then later on you do a report, it's like, okay, what is this person? What is their relationship? Is this a substantive thing? Is this just an anecdotal mention? Is this something that's really important? Is this somebody we haven't considered and we need to figure out who is this person or what are they all about? Um, most of the people, most of the time, you're going to know every person that you're talking about. But if you're exploring, who would have notice or who would have information about this, and they run through a list of people, well, there may be some names you're
Mhm.
not familiar with. And so if you just code it this way, and then later on you just do a report every so often, you say, okay, who have we not talked to, or who do we need to think about, or what's their role? That's been very helpful too. So I could talk to, chat with the paralegal and say, okay, let's run down who these folks are and what do we need to do with this. And it's easy to do when you print out the report. Yeah, I can just email it straight from the app, or I can, send it and print it and then have a hard copy, which nobody does that anymore, really. But um,
Yeah, for someone still working off paper transcripts or a flat PDF, what do you think the time savings are here, realistically?
oh, it's crazy big. That's, I
Crazy.
think, a legal term. No, it just, you know, just the beauty of you can just do a search over anything. I didn't do a very good job there, but um, the idea is you can search across like, let me see if I can do that better. Yeah. So in this document, there's four examples of the term exclusion. This document, there's six. This one, there's 191. It was that easy to find. So of the 191, it'll show you page by page where they're located. So it's just a matter of going here and you see all the terms. That wasn't a very good one because it's so common in these documents, but you get the idea. It's just a real, you can quickly find it. And then if you need, you can do a report with it'll list every single example of that term so that you have a document that shows you. And if it's an important term, you can use it for whatever you need to do. So that's just not easy to do with paper, obviously. And you know, this one's 2 pages, this one's two, but this one's 94. So this third document, are you going to print out all 94 pages and then highlight 191 examples of the word exclusion, for example? You don't need to. So right there is just a time savings. It's the same thing. Transcript pad, if you have multiple depositions in one case and you want to search a term, it'll search across all of the depositions. In like DocReviewPad here, same thing. I mean, it'll search as narrowly or as broadly as you want. So I can search a folder, I can search a document, or I can search the whole file. So just that's the speed of the computer. That's part of the beauty of going with computers because you're able to automate that kind of, well, not automate, but you're able to do that search so swiftly. And that's just time on your hands. I mean, you've got the results instantly.
And, how do you collaborate with a paralegal or associate as these documents and transcripts are being marked up?
A lot of times, I will have, I can just, like I said, if there's stuff that's specific, I can just shoot those documents over and say, we need to do X or Y or Z on this. Here's a copy of the claim for compensation, which in Missouri is essentially a petition in workers' comp. Um, excuse me. Or in, it's like, okay, we need to fashion the response to this. Um, I can then, send the entire file that I have over so that they can look for, okay, we need to look for the affirmative defenses. We need to look for, what is the response to this particular claim? Was there an accident? Was there an injury? Do we dispute those things? And in Missouri, there's just, it's a pre-printed form that they use, and it's just click, click, click. So it's just, there are just certain things that, we're going to have to be able to either admit this or not. So they're able to, I could do this on email. I can do this just airdrop if they're, if we just have them come in. And so it makes it so much simpler to coordinate that kind of thing.
And let's move forward and talk more about depositions because you have a couple of techniques that I think every litigator needs to start using tomorrow. First, your custom witness issue code. Tell everyone how that works.
Well, I mean, it's every issue you're going to see, or every deposition you're going to see certain your case is going to have certain issues, but you're also your yeah, I'm going to move that. You're going to have specific issues as to a witness. So it's just easier here right now when I do a list of, when I'm create a list, I've got, this is a list of issues in most workers' comp cases. Is there an accident? Okay, there's always got to be an accident, or there's an occupational disease. What's the average weekly wage? Background facts. What's a disability rating? What's a disability issues? Was there an employment relationship? Sometimes there isn't. We had one where, a gentleman was a farm laborer, and that's excluded expressly. So here's exhibits which aren't exactly related, but it's it's more procedural or logistical. Experts, the same thing, that's more procedural or logistical. And then I'll break that down into sub. Like you can see, I have a general experts, but then basis for their opinions. What's the education? What the facts do they rely on? Opinions, qualification, etc. Injury is always an issue. You can have an accident without an injury. What's the nature and extent of the injury? Then there's medical and payroll. Those are both I keep green. Disability, and then witnesses. So I've got those set up as a template where I just go every case, I'll open that up, and you can reuse it allows us to use those as a template. So those issues, when I create a new case, it's right there. I'm not creating the wheel every single time I open a new file. So in terms of the deposition, I've got those same kind of things. Plus, I'm then able to focus in on, well, what's the specific case or witness issue? What is this person? What's their role in the case? That's just a simple way of helping things stay organized and keeping me focused on what do I need to get, what kind of, what's my goal in the deposition.
And well, you may not be able to show this, but back to that 14 defendant leukemia case, you used TranscriptPad in a pretty clever way when everyone was making designation requests at once. Can you share with us what that kind of looked
Well,
like?
it's a little bit of what we were talking about before about how you could do plaintiff one deposition designations and plaintiff
Mhm.
or defendant two, defendant three, up to those 14. It's a way of keeping everything on track. And the plaintiff's deposition alone was 6 volumes. Um, because of the sheer number of parties.
Yeah.
Um, so it's so much easier to keep track of things when you have it all at your fingertips like this, and it just makes more sense. Which, after all, isn't that the whole point of the computer? Is to help us take large volumes of data and compress it into a usable form, and being able to extract the piece of information that you need when you need it.
And like I said in the intro, most people think of TrialPad as purely a courtroom presentation software. But you're using it day to day and you're bringing newer attorneys into this. So,
It's not just, I mean, yes, it's a presentation program. Absolutely. And it's phenomenal at that. And that's kind of, most of us are introduced to the litigation suite that way because um, that's what you have a need for all the time. And there used to be, oh gosh, I can't think of there was an awful, it was just clunky. It was on the Windows side. I mean, it was what you used because that's what was there. This is so much more elegant. Now, again, when you're looking at this at my screen here, unfortunately, it's the view that I see. So you're looking under the hood, so to speak, at all the controls, all the documents, all the buttons down below. It's kind of like when you're creating a PowerPoint slide deck and you're doing it and you see all the slides and you see all the things that you're doing, but the audience doesn't see all of that. The only thing the audience will see is the actual document here. And then the beauty too is you guys have done this where you can do 2 documents side by side. And so that's amazing because you can compare and contrast. Well, here's this exclusion. Well, here's another exclusion. Or, for I just threw this and some different things in. But for example, if these two aren't related, but in the event that, let's just pretend the document on the left was related and then document B on the right is different. Well, you can see how you can compare and contrast things, both, like if 2 signatures were key. And then as far as the actual presentation aspect, there's so much. Oh, I'm wrong. You can blow that up, and then you can, if you need to highlight that part of it, there we go. And then there's a laser. There's 2 different lasers. So one, like you see my cursor there moving around with the laser, but an audience would only see the red light. And then there's this new one where you can just draw and it'll highlight for a minute and then it disappears. So it's a way to highlight something temporarily, call their attention to it, and then move on to your next point. This call out's amazing. It
yeah,
just
that's really cool.
it is a great.
The
You can
laser
put
trail.
yes. You can do a pen. Now the other thing is, let me go back to this.
Now, our clients are usually the ones, or almost always the ones, who recommend these types of features. So we love giving everyone the opportunity to recommend things for our roadmap and encourage everyone to do so.
Well, over the years, I've spoken with Ian there, and written him actually, corresponded, and it's like, have you thought about this? And I see as over the years as the apps all develop, those sort of comments are incorporated in there. So uh, I love the responsiveness of the company. That makes me a big fan too. The other thing about TrialPad, in addition to just the presentation part, you see down here in the corner, you can put exhibit stickers on it. And it's not just, so it's simple as a signed sticker. Bam. What color do you want? There's a header here where you can put the case. Instead of defendant, is it a respondent? Is it plaintiff? Is it whatever? Put the case number or put whatever the convention is at that particular jurisdiction. And there you go. Boom. Um, so on the first page, there's your sticker. And so as you go along, um, now I've done this. Okay, I'm at trial. All right, I've offered it. The court's admitted. Bam, it marked it as admitted. And so when I look over here to the left, I see, oh, look, it's now admitted. Then I can do
Wow.
report just to keep track of, all right, what do we have here? Well, oops. So here's a list of all the exhibits. And what's the status? Well, these two are admitted. Oh, we need to do cleanup before we let this witness go and offer these two exhibits and make sure that we get those admitted into evidence. The other thing is with TrialPad, you've got the ability to do notes for each of your exhibits. So kind of your presenter notes like you would do with PowerPoint. You can just say, like this one, I just, orient the jury to the direction of the truck, or, remember to cover these 4 categories, or emphasize these photos or something, just so there's points where you have to think, okay, what do I want to remember here? And I've got this together. I'm able to take a look at this. It keeps me focused, or keeps me on track. So TrialPad's amazing, and it keeps getting better. So
It really is. You're taking control of these presentations. I think you said that your newest shareholders even running tech for
yes,
co-counsel, which
yeah.
kind of opened up a new revenue stream or whatever you want to call it.
Well, I mean, he's there in trial anyway. He's he'll take
Right.
witnesses, when you break it up like that, but he's also on top of it and likes it. So let him do it and do it well. So the other thing that's fun, you can take a picture, take a snapshot, create that snapshot, and then you've got like a witness. We'll open that. Um, the witness can then, like, mark it up or this or that, and you can save as a separate document.
Yeah.
And that way you're able to, it's modified, but the original one is saved and unchanged. So this could be saved as a new document. The last thought here is it's not just this, it's also, you have multimedia where, you could do video or other things there. And then finally, like you could do, I haven't organized it this way, but if you're in trial, you could do a folder by, the witness, Kevin Baker. So anything that relates to that witness, you can put all those documents in one folder. Then, a second folder, or third folder, depending on how many witnesses you have. And so in your key documents, these are the out of the 10,000 documents or the 500 documents in your case, these are the 10 or the 50 that are just really germane. You have access to all the others if you need them, but here are the key documents that you're going to be using. They're all marked. And then as you go through trial, some are admitted, some are not. But you can go from witness to witness and go through, here are the key documents that I want to use for this guy. And here are the key documents I want to use for somebody else. So it's an easy way to remain organized and stay focused on what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure that most people on the call have used a third-party hot seater in the past to set up a war room or come
Yeah.
in to the jury trial with all their equipment and lug that around. And I mean, by your own estimate, I'm sure the savings it's almost immediate. The payback period for this suite is is definitely very, very fast because these guys tend to charge 150 to $300 per hour to do this kind of thing. And you're able to do it on your own pretty seamlessly from what I've seen today.
The other thing that's really fun in terms of savings and clients appreciate it is in TranscriptPad, if you take a deposition, you're going to get a transcript. Um, but if you take a video deposition, you'll get the transcript and a video file. And TranscriptPad is designed to do that sync between the written transcript and the video so that the two are coordinated. As you forward through one, it'll forward, if you go through the transcript, forward through that, it also moves the video, the same thing. And so you can just pull out these little clips um, and da, da, da. Oh no, I want TrialPad, sorry. You can pull out clips, then you can send those clips to just name them. Here's the CDL clip, or here's an impeachment. If you
Hmm.
wanted to use a particular clip to impeach somebody, you'll have it available. Or here's this about a turnaround trip, or this or that. So you can break down. This isn't the entire. None of these is the entire transcript. It's just that minute or 38
Right.
seconds or whatever part that's germane to that point. So you're able to just um, put those in there and then use them seamlessly. So
Yeah, I
that
think
is,
most the industry standard up until this product was developed was to have the court reporter handle all the video sync, and they're charging 90 to $150 per hour to do that.
yeah,
So no longer do they have to do it. You just
no,
tell the court reporter, no, no, you don't send me the already synced video because I can do it in TranscriptPad for free now. Um, and create my clips, which usually takes time going back and forth. I mean, it can with the
sure.
court reporter hours and days to get the revisions that you're looking for. So,
Well, I just think that the savings from doing that, if you do video depositions, the savings from not having some third party do your transcript syncing is going to more than pay for the $600 annual fee for the software. So, and then the time that you save, just the simplicity, the organization, all of that. If you can't save the equivalent of 2 or 3 billable hours a year by using this, well, you need to look at your system and see if there's some ways that you can be a little more efficient, because it's just, good software to me is kind of a lifesaver. And I enjoy it, using it.
well, we appreciate you, and we know that you're really advocating that your firm sort of standardize this at least across a couple practice areas and become an
Yeah,
enterprise partner, meaning the firm owns the licenses, not the individual attorneys going to the app store, making those purchases on a personal credit card and then having to be reimbursed. Why does that distinction mean something to you operationally, or what kind of efficiencies do you think that would create for you all?
it's a management thing. I mean, it's just on something like this, um, updates, just that you don't forget. You get a reminder, and then oh, okay, I'll do that Tuesday, and then Tuesday comes and goes, and you don't do it. If it's just done centrally, it's just paid for once, and then everybody's license is taken care of. Um,
Right. And the
and it's
licenses and the knowledge don't walk out the door when somebody moves to a
that's
different law firm. They
that's
stay
true
within
too.
the law firm environment. So that's
No,
great.
what they do is advocate at the new firm to get that software if they don't have it yet. So
Well, you said something to Tara that stuck with me, and that is this is just not simply a litigator's tool. You've said it has a place on the corporate side too.
yeah, I mean, anytime you're talking to a group of people,
Mm.
Why not use like TrialPad? It doesn't have to be a trial. So if you're in our boardroom and we've got a big screen in there, so you throw up, here's a proposed change to the contract, and here's this. And in the negotiation, when you're talking, whether it's the opposing side or whether it's your client, it's like, okay, here's where we are, and here's where we think we ought to go, and this is the difference. And everybody can look and see at the same time, and then you just take your laser pointer or whatever and you show them the difference. It can be very instructive. Or walking to a client with an estate plan, because we all know those can be fairly complicated. So if on the one side, say you have a map, like a flow chart with all the trust, the documents and how it all works, and then on the right you have the actual trust, the documents, you're able to see as you walk through these documents, you can see still at the same time, look, there's the map. So this is where we are. It's kind of your guide. And so it just makes it a little easier. Eh, so it doesn't have to be just litigation. It's just anytime you're presenting information to people, it's a viable tool for that.
Quick question coming in from the chat. Actually, it feels kind of a little bit long-winded, and we may have already passed the point of you being able to do this, but someone is asking about the workflow of getting documents into DocReviewPad, like specifically showing how that is done, if you could hit the import button or something like that. Um, and how
Um,
you're collaborating with others on your trial team. I assume they all have a license for Lit Suite and their own iPad. What does that look like?
they do. As far as importing documents, um, let me see if I can. It's got some areas here where you can go iCloud on my iPad. I can access net documents. Um, I can access. I don't have one plugged in, but I've got a USB thumb drive that I can put the documents on that. But I'll take all the documents, I'll put them in a folder, and then I will OCR that whole folder of documents at once. It's just easy to get that done. And then I can import the folder, and then it's just a matter of like, go to the select tool, select this document. I want to move this. So I'll move it to the correspondence file. And so now that's in correspondence. So I can go through the actual documents. So if I have say I have 40 documents here, just go select, and then everything that's correspondence, click, nope, click, 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 and then move everything at once, and then move all the documents that where they need to be. And then from there, these are different. What I would normally do in terms of when I do the OCR, I'll also, like today, I'll do the year, the day, or month, and then the date, because now everything will sort automatically chronologically. So it'll be the oldest to the newest. And then I've got the date of that document right there in the title. Again, I just threw these together for, just to get some documents to show you some of these features. As far as you can save it in the files, you can save documents in the Files app in on your iPad, and then you can load documents from there. And that's great for like one-offs and this and that. But the easiest right now is just the thumb drive. Just put it in and just move that whole folder over.
Okay. Well, it looks like we have about 10 minutes left of questions. Thank you so much for sharing your workflows, your stories, 30 years of hard-won perspective with us today. And what I think we love here at Lit Software about your approach is that it's not about just buying licenses just for its own sake. You're more prepared, you're building a better case series, you're giving your whole firm a shared way of working. And to everyone who's watching, if you'd like to learn more about the Lit Suite, summer's a great time to do it. I don't know, Tim, if you plan on taking your iPad on vacation this summer, but before your busy docket calendar hits in late August, early September, is there any way in which you're going to be utilizing the Lit Suite while you're traveling, et cetera, et cetera? Like, and if you were evaluating our software right now to prepare for something maybe that's going to be hitting in early September, maybe a jury trial, what would you be doing for the next 6 weeks?
I think just play with it. There are if I remember right, there's some sample files. There was
Yes.
I think Gil Bauer. I remember, there's a transcript from a fictitious person named Gil Bauer that you can play with the TranscriptPad, so you can get a feel for easily in a day. You will be able to use it effectively, and then as you learn more, if you go to the YouTube channel and you let me see if I've got that. I've forgotten now. No.
Yeah, the YouTube channel is where we sort of corroborate. We've brought together clips from all of our featured pros live segments. We also have a user group on LinkedIn. So if you're a current subscriber, just please find Lit Suite, Lit Software User Group on LinkedIn. I'm the administrator. I'll invite you in. It's a great place to meet your peers and ask the difficult questions because obviously I'm in sales. You want to get perspective from your peers. That's the most powerful thing. Um,
If you'd like, I'd be happy if you. I think you've included my email
sure.
address, but if
Yeah,
somebody has a question, they're just kind of on the fence. I'm happy to talk to them and see if I can give an answer to the question and see if they see what they think. But um,
absolutely. And there is a 7-day free trial that you can ask for in the App Store. But if you need a little bit more time, maybe you want to have your IT department test the software with mobile device manager just to make sure that it works with your compliance. Uh, Come to me, ask me for that 14-day trial license, and I'd be happy to set you up and make sure that you have the training that you need to get started quickly and make sure that you're feeling good and confident once your calendar beefs up again in the fall. So, thank you everyone for joining us. I don't see any more questions. If you have them, you've got a couple more minutes. We will invite you to the next Features Pro Live, which is going to be, I think, in mid-August with Brett Burney. So thank you all for joining and send me your questions, Hillary, HILLARY at litsoftware.com. Talk soon.